Alright, good evening, team. Today we want to discuss or we want to talk or we want to share a word of God from the book. We want to share a word of God from the book of Genesis, chapter number 16, as from verse 1. Abraham's wife Sarah had not borne him any children, but she had an Egyptian slave woman named Hagar. And so she said to Abraham, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave? Perhaps she can have a child for me." Abraham agreed with that Sarai said, so she gave Hagar to him to be his concubine. This happened after Abraham had lived in Canaan for 10 years. Abraham had intercourse with Hagar and she became pregnant. When she found out that she was pregnant, she became proud and despised Sarai. So it is a word of God from the book of Genesis once again, chapter number 16, as verse 1. I don't know how you will interpret this word of God, but I'll give to interpret it first before I give my opinion on the same. So I will read it again. Abraham's wife Sarai had not borne him any children, but she had an Egyptian slave whom named Hagar. And so she said to Abraham, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave? Perhaps she can have a child for me." Abraham agreed with what Sarai said, so she gave Hagar to him to be his concubine. This happened after Abraham had lived in Canaan for 10 years. Abraham had intercourse with Hagar and she became pregnant. When she found out that she was pregnant, she became proud and despised Sarai. So, what do you think about this word of God?
Is a very powerful message from the book of Genesis 16. Here we are having three characters, where we have Abraham, we have Sarai, then we have the maid. Right?
Okay.
Now, from here, what I have seen, from the humanly, from just leave around the spiritual, but for the normal thinking, is that you see this Abraham's wife, who was Sarai, he advised Abraham that he should sleep with the maid, so that at least the generation will they will have their generation through the maid, right?
Yeah.
But and the reason being, Sarai had been kept for long without having a kid.
Okay.
So from the humanly, from the point of view, Imam deal. Yes, the deal started long time ago, right? Because this is the when there is deal, it is when you just want to secure something, right?
Okay.
If you want to have something centered before thy presence, you can do anything humanly possible to have what your desire is, right?
Sure.
So that your heart will be at peace, right?
Sure.
But it's very unfortunate that we as human, we do things even without knowing what the plan of God is unto us. But for us, we don't take time to pray and wait for maybe what we have prayed for to be realized. But instead, tonight I'll just go down onto my knees, say that God, I need this job. God, I need to secure this position. God, I need that job. I need what? You know?
Sure.
But we do not realize that God Himself, He is the one who started the fight. If He is the one who started the fight, we need to give Him time and be patient. Since you have already played, if you pray, you just be patient, practice patience, because prayers does not need proof. You need to practice praying. After that, you just wait and see what God will do unto your life.
Okay.
Remember, it is through prayers that all good stars from heaven, they are being unlocked.
Sure.
They are directly, we receive them directly from heaven unto this world by the word of prayer. And remember, in the same Bible, there is a certain, there is somewhere where it is being quoted that prayer or faith can move the mountain. So here, you need to ask yourself, which kind of the mountain are you in? Which mountain are you seeing ahead of you?
Okay.
Yeah. When Moses and the Israelites were trying to cross the Red Sea, they had seen an ocean. Which ocean are you seeing in your journey? Is it true that you just pray and you don't wait for God to answer your prayers? Some other things are already answered. The Israelites were asking the Moses, weren't there graves in Egypt whereby we will be buried? Did we not tell you that this will happen?
Okay.
But Moses told them, do not cry. Just wait and see what God will do to you. Then God cried to God. Moses cried to God. But God asked him, why are you crying for help? Tell the children of Israel to move forward. So your mountain is nothing. The giant you are seeing ahead of you is no longer a giant if you have faith in prayer.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
That is all I can say from my side. But remember, mambo na deals. He deal. Let me just maybe shift into Swahili for a while. Mambo na deals. Tunaitaje deal kwa Kiswahili? Hiyo deal. Mambo na deal ni wakati unataka kitu fulani, lakini hata kama there are some people who will suffer for you to be there, but you just don't care. If it is the shedding of the blood, you don't care. But for you, what you just say, you are seeing a certain position. You are seeing a certain, maybe a certain land. You are seeing a certain people. You are seeing, there are a lot of things maybe which can be brought by this name deal. So I don't know what I can say about the deal. So we need to avoid the deals, because after all, you have seen that Sarai is being despised by Hagar, right?
Sure.
Because of what? She had not conceived, but immediately after Hagar had conceived, right, had born the child, also Sarai had to do what? The same prayer was being answered to Sarah. So it is high time we start believing in what we ask for, and we should never put God into temptation. When you are praying, don't tell God that, God, give me this. If you give me this, are you trying to pray with God? That if you give me this, I'll do for you this. So it does not work in that way.
All right.
Okay.
On my side, what I would say is, waiting upon the word of God is not easy, and it needs the Spirit of God to guide you all through. So, generally, what I would say is you need to humble yourself. You need to be patient when waiting upon the word of God. Now, there is knowing God, right? There is knowing God and believing God and having faith in Him. When you're having faith in Him, you are certain. When you know God, you are certain. When you believe, there is a high possibility that when someone presents a formula, like for example, 1 plus 1 is equals to, when someone presents a formula that will tell you otherwise that a 1 plus 1 can equally be a 22, you go with it, simply because you only believe, but you're not certain that it is truly 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. And that's what the devil used. Now the devil saw that there was a weak point. These people, they need a child, and despite that God had promised Abraham this, so he presented an opportunity. Akawaletea opportunity, akawambia, my friend, badala ya kungoja sana, this is what you have to do. Uko na Sarai, uko na mfanyikazi, na mfanyikazi ni mrembo. Just give your servant to your husband, and from this you can have a fruit. Now, women are, I can't say, they tend to convince, there is this voice they normally use, they tend to convince. And once she comes to you, there is a high possibility that you might fall in that. And Abraham fell in it. Despite of the deal he had made with God, that he should wait upon his voice, that he will be made, his generation will be counted. His generation will be bigger than you can ever imagine. Despite of all this, despite of the deal, despite of the agreement that I had with God, he had to listen to that voice, a voice that made him to do what he had to do, and from there they had a fruit. All right. Now, a fruit that came out of that, actually there was issues beyond that. Now, what do we learn from this? Patience, number one. When God says, I will do something, believe it, trust in Him, have faith, and get time to know Him better. Because when He says, I'll do something, when you know Him, definitely He'll do something. It doesn't matter how long it will take. It might take centuries, months, years, but definitely He will come through. So, I know you might be going through a lot. You might be having issues out there. You might be in a position where you can't explain yourself. But the Bible says that the Father who rescued the Israelites from Egypt, He will say is enough. And He says, my son, this is enough. My daughter, this is enough. You cannot continue in this kind of state that you are in today. So I am about to rescue you from this kind of calamity you are in. So you have to believe Him. You have to trust Him. And stop listening to others. Just believe, trust in Him, have faith in Him. Everything will go and everything will be all right. Stay blessed, for this is the word of God that comes from the book of Genesis, once again from chapter number 16, is from verse 1. This is Prince Roma here, CEO of BNC Music. I'm Mr. Gift. See you next time. Pleasure.
Thank you.